start. As you know, today is our fourth lecture, as I guess. I changed the topics. So today we'll have the lecture about attention, and after a week, the lecture about anatomy of the brain, the main structures in the brain, their functions, and so on. But I think that if we are going to do some practice with these devices with EEG, and we are going to find out if we have got quite good attention or not good attention. So we should talk about attention. It's quite logical. Okay, and you know the stuff. So, as for me, I think that in our world full of advertisements and full of different information, when we have got computers and phones and internet, we don't need memory anymore. So, because we can find out almost everything in the internet, but attention is still the most important cognitive function, because all these commercials and all these advertisements, they're trying to grab our attention, and we should control it. So that's why we should understand how it works. What can we do with the attention? Yeah, like Neo here. So let's start with attention. We are going to have 4 parts, or maybe just 3 of them. The definition of attention, some general words, the mechanisms of attention, something about meditation. So does anyone practice meditation? Or no?
Yoga. If yoga is part of meditation, is it?
So what kind of meditation?
Yoga, you know, the Indian yoga.
Yeah, I mean Hatha yoga or Kundalini yoga.
I forgot the name. It's basically like they ask us to lie down and focus our thinking in just one part of the body. And yes, with someone just like leading us through this session.
No, for an hour.
No, I finished. It was in Egypt with some Indian group. So yeah, this was like for 6 months. It was cool. I couldn't really focus on parts of my body, but it was nice to imagine that I can do that. Like if you have pain in some place and you can just like ignore it.
That's great. And I also practice yoga, some kind of Hatha yoga, you know, and my trainer, he has some sessions here in Dolga Prudny every Sunday at 12 o'clock in Dirijablь, you know, this center. It's not far from your dormitory, from your camp, I guess. It's building with big yellow stripes. No?
Close to what? Because we've been around, but we don't know the streets.
Close to Novodachne. Yeah.
Okay.
Not far. So if you want, I can send you the invitation to the group. It's free for students, and just to practice yoga for 2 hours.
It's nice.
So anyway, let's move on to our topic. So in some way, attention is a behavioral or cognitive process, and the main thing in attention is selective concentration on some aspects of information and ignoring some other aspects of information. Yeah.
Can I go out to just guide her?
Yeah, of course you can go. Attention was a topic of philosophers for many years, and then psychologists came up to this topic, and after that neuroscientists, and for example William James, he's a famous psychologist and philosopher in some way, and he treated the attention as some kind of focalization and concentration of consciousness. And this idea of this part of the consciousness, some spotlight of the consciousness, it's quite famous, for example, in some theories of consciousness, which name is global workspace theory. So there are not many theories of consciousness, and this is one of them. And in this theory, you have got a lot of different subconsciousness processes. For example, I don't know, thinking about drinking water and listening the lecture and doing something, and you have all these processes at the same way in your brain, but some of them are under this consciousness spotlight, under the attention, and so they are in your consciousness. So it's a subject of your consciousness. And so this all these processes, they have a kind of competition between all of them, and someone wins, and then we have got a feedback loop. For example, if my process about listening lecture wins, I do something to do it better, and so on and so on. So some kind of.
But can I actually like focus on two things at the same time with the same conscious, like both the two spotlight or something?
In this model, no.
But there is another model like can explain this, like I can write at the same time speak with the same kind of attention.
Yeah, I think that in this model, you have a common process when you speak and you type, for example. So it's a common process. But if you haven't got this common process, you can do only something, one
So
thing.
there has to be a common ground between the processes.
Yeah. And there are some types of attention. So we have non-volitional attention, volitional attention. Non-volitional attention can be enforced or spontaneous, and volitional attention can be implicit and explicit. So what does it mean? Non-volitional attention is a type of attention when you don't need your consciousness, and you can do these processes as an instinct. For example, someone clapped here, or and you turn your head because so you don't control this type of attention. You don't control non-volitional attention. And an example here, you see the kangaroo on the picture, and if this kangaroo jumps from the picture, you will have a non-volitional type of attention. Yeah. Yeah, I will be afraid if it happens. Anyway, volitional attention is attention when you need your consciousness, you should control it. So usually it's not very easy. For example, 2 examples with a crying baby. When you're a mother, for example, and your baby is crying, you pay attention to the baby, and this is non-volitional type of attention. And when you a student, for example, and somewhere a baby crying, and you try to focus on your lecture, on your, I don't know, exercises, examination. This is volitional type of attention.
I think I would try instead of big.
Yeah, it can be. And there are different properties of attention. Usually we divide on form of this metrics or properties, and the first one is concentration. So concentration is isolation the object from the background, and the more concentration, the more the clarity, and the more distinctness the object from the background. Another one is volume. So what do you think? What do you think about the volume?
In terms of attention?
Yeah, in terms of attention.
Like when the volume is big, like concentration.
Yeah, for example, your volume is bigger than my volume of attention. What does
so your attention to me, or my attention to you? I mean, like the ant and the elephant. The ant doesn't never know that there's an elephant. Maybe it's an elephant. And the same for the elephant, doesn't care about the ant. So that's the kind of relationship.
I see you're in a philosophical mood, but yeah, in terms of attention, it's quite simple. So it's just a number of objects which you can which can be covered by your attention. So, for example, for adults, the volume of attention is about 4, 6, 7 objects, and for school children, usually it's quite small. For example, from 2 to 5 objects.
What is based on why it's different from person to person?
You mean why one person have bigger volume than? So it's quite complex thing, but you can train your attention. And in the end of the lecture, I'll tell you about the deconcentration. It's a technique for training the volume of the attention when you can pay attention for many subjects.
By the way, how can I strengthen my memorizing? Because I don't memorize anything.
So the question is
how to strengthen.
I started Alzheimer.
Yes, he has a memory loss. A temporal memory loss. He forgot the names and the things.
Yeah, that's another question about memory. And as I said, I think you don't need memory. You just need better attention. So they're correlated in some way. So.
But we use this in machine learning. Like now in the phone, when you have like you're trying to take a picture, there's autofocus. I guess focus is attention to the phone. Mm-hmm. So it blurs the background and it only takes like focus on someone. So the blur is attention, like you're just focusing, it's concentration and focus on one thing. Is it true?
For machine learning?
For machine learning.
Maybe in some way. Okay, so the next property is stability, and stability is connected with the concentration, and stability means how much time can you have some certain level of concentration. Okay, so for example, maybe I have got very good concentration, but just for a second. That's why it's quite hard for me to listen for the whole lecture. Yeah, and what do you think? What is the first property of attention? There is a hint on the slide. No, we already have concentration.
So another one. You mean like another property?
Yeah. One more property. This green figure, yeah. On and off, almost. it's switchability. So switchability means you can switch your attention from one object to another object. And there is a difference when you do it with control, it's switchability. And when anything interrupts you, that's not switchability. Okay.
What is the link between the switchability and the volume? The relation between the volume and the switchability.
I don't know. So we need to find out some research on this topic.
Because you said that the volume is how much you can contain, the volume, how much you can. So the volume of the child is lesser as compared to someone who's right. So I'm thinking the volume is like the number of objects you can concentrate on at any rate at a particular moment. Or is that not?
No, I don't think that. I understand from the volume, like what is the minimum that can grasp your attention. So like if you have like one scratch on the whiteboard like this, like very faint, you will not like this one. You will not really consider. But if you have like a huge font or words, like what is the minimum that can scratch your attention? This is what I got from the volume. It's not about something like very big or huge.
Yeah, that's about number of objects. Okay, and also these properties of attention, we usually use them as kind of metrics in some investigation, but they are also correlated with some properties in clinical model. Okay, so if we want to find out if the person is healthy or with some mental disorders in terms of attention, so we should find out if he has sustained attention, selective attention, alternating attention, and divided attention. And the most common deficit and the most common disorder connected with the attention is, of course, the attention deficit disorder. So what do you think, what property of attention doesn't work properly for attention deficit disorder? Yeah. Stability, I think, is the right answer, but also, so attention deficit means. Sorry.
Three properties together, not dependent on one.
Maybe, but attention deficit disorder means that you can't pay attention for something for a long time. If something interrupts you, you switch, but without any control. And switchability means that we have control. And also there are such disorders as, for example, autistic spectrum disorder. Do you know? For example, there are some very talented autistic guys like savants or Asperger's sometimes, and they can be very talented, for example, in painting. So yeah, they can paint very detailed pictures for a long time, and they are quite similar to the real life, and but it's quite hard for them to do something else, for example, when they paint or do something like that. And so what is the main what property doesn't work properly for them? Yes, that's true. And now let's talk about how the attention works. And as I said, first philosophers worked with attention, then psychologists, and so that let's turn to psychological models. In 1953, we had a kind of cognitive revolution when people tried to build many different psychological models, and the Colin Cherry said cocktail party problem. What do you think is a cocktail party problem? Maybe people who are close to machine learning knows.
No, I just know the party problem. Like, everyone talking at the same time to anyone. No one is paying attention to any details, just like floating.
Yes, so it's almost like that, but cocktail party problem means that we have a party, for example, and we have many, sorry?
Like variety.
Yeah, many talks, many speeches, and we should listen to someone, just one person, and usually we can do that. And this is the problem. How do we do this? How do we solve this problem? How, I mean, our brain. And
Restrict the party. Leave the party.
yeah. And so this psychologists did a lot of experiments. Maybe they had a lot of budgets, but not only. And the first model was a filter model of attention of broadband. It was made in 1958, and this is a model of early selective filter. So it means that he thought that we have a kind of filter somewhere in our mind or in our brain, I don't know. This filter, so filter the information, and only after this filter, we have the information in our short-term memory, okay? And so we can't use all the other filtered information. That is the model. He had such kind of model because of the experiments with decodic listening task. It means that in these experiments, people had different voices in different ears. For example, 4, 2, 4, 6 in right ear, and 4, 3, 1 in left ear, or something like that. And they had an instruction for just one ear. For example, press the button if there is a, I don't know, 4. And the hypothesis was that if people can do some mistakes, then there is no early filter. So the information can be mixed. We can use the information from left and from right ear at the same moment. But people always have correct answers, so without any mistakes. And that's why Brodmann decided that there is a kind of early information filter. But yeah, that's such kind of model we had. But later, another models like Friesman attenuation model and late selection model were created because in some cases people could use the information they were not focused on. For example, if they had the task just for right ear, but in the left ear they had information about their name or about something dangerous like fire, or so some stimulus which are very necessary for them, they paid attention to this stimulus. But they had a task about listening just the information from the right ear, for example. And that's why later some other psychologists decided that the information is not filtered, so then not all information is filtered, but some information can be kept in our mind somewhere, some necessary information. Okay, but as you mentioned, in psychological models we have only some squares and arrows, and if you ask me, and where is this square in the brain, of course psychologists they don't want to answer. They haven't got such a task. But if we want to find out something about the mechanisms of the brain, of course we should learn about the brain. Yeah, very sad picture about the monkeys. So maybe some of you remember from the I guess from the previous lesson about the methods. The methods, invasive methods, they were invented many years ago, and first researchers they had an information from the experiments with the monkeys and from some lesions, and they had a lot of results. For example, they find out where is the center of moving in the brain. For example, on this picture you can see this is a real photo from José Delgado. He was a neuroscientist in the 60s, and he lived in Spain. As you guessed, José. Yeah, from this picture. And you know, in Spain there is very famous corrida, and he implanted to the brain of this bull some special electrodes. Some wireless electrodes, I don't know. And he said, oh, I'm almost like a matador or something like that. And when the bull ran to José Delgado, he put the button and the bull stopped. And yeah, yeah, this is José. Yeah, this is the bull. That's right. You know, neuroscientists, they had great results in the 60s, so they could stop the bull.
We managed to stop that.
Yeah. So you can find the video, historical video on YouTube. Just José Delgado.
Electrocuted them. The ox, the bull, and he didn't actually control his brain, just like electrocuted them.
No, he controlled the bull. So he found some
the movement place.
Yeah, the movement place, like red nucleus near the cerebellum. So there are some points in the brain for controlling the movements. And as I know, for example, in Russia, in some labs, almost in the same time, they had some buttons for one cat for different movements. For example, they put one button and the cat move right, then left, then do something else. So there are some special centers for.
Are these voluntary or involuntary? Like,
They ask the bull.
is the bull like chose to do this, or he does it like without having the option?
No, we tell about voluntary or non-involuntary attention just for natural life. I mean, when we have got something implanted in the brain, we don't use this.
I'm not talking about the attention. I'm talking about the order itself. Was it given as like was the bull coerced to obey, or was it like chose and then it chose to do that?
Yeah, I think that the bull.
If he's not, then there's no point.
No, there are kind of experiments for people. Nowadays we have almost the same experiments for people. And people, when somebody put the button, they just say, "Oh, I wanted to stop." So they explain that it's their choice, yeah. And that's the point of this ideas about free will. So some neuroscientists, they tell that we haven't got free will because when we put the button, the person say, "Oh, that was my choice." So what about free will? Okay, and then as you know, after some years, after 30 years, you know, this Delgado's experiment was in 60s, and in 90s there were experiments of Agawa and some other Japanese scientists, and they found out that for a hamster that we can so there is a bold contrast, and using the magnetic field, measuring the magnetic field, we can find out which parts of the brain are working at the same moment. And so after that, we had a cognitive revolution because of fMRI techniques, and it became possible to find out some special regions in the brain, in human's brain, which are necessary for paying attention. And this is the picture from works of Posner. Posner is a very famous investigator of attention, and here is the flanker task for assessing attention. Posner did these experiments for monkeys and for people, but I think in some way for people it was easier. And they had a screen with a dot or something like that in the center, and people should see just in the center, and sometimes they see an arrow to the right or to the left. And after that, they will have some stimulus on the right or on the left. And if they have got some task, for example, they should press the button if they have got the stimuli on the right, so right button, and left button if they got the stimuli on the left. And he measured the difference in two cases. First case was when the arrow shows you should pay attention to the left, and you have got the stimuli on the left. Yeah, And second variant is when it shows you should pay attention to the left, but you have the stimuli on the right.
Complex process.
Yeah. So there was a difference in the time because it's easier to react when the stimuli, yes, in the same place when the error shows. Yeah. And so he decided that there are different types of attention, and maybe there are different systems of attention because there is such kind of difference in the time of reaction. And when people had some extra tasks, for example, please calculate something 125 plus 126, and you should calculate and put the button. And this difference in time was increased in this case, because when you have to calculate something, it's harder to press the button when in this case. So when the arrow shows on to the left and you have the stimulus on the right, but it's not harder to press the same button. So he decided that there are some structures which are connected with your some cognitive functions, and you need some special attention for these cognitive functions, kind of volitional and not non-volitional attention, but in neuroscientific way. And in this first experiments with fMRI, he found out that these regions these regions are connected with attention most of all. So this is a part of temporal and parietal cortex, some part of dorsolateral cortex, and a small part of parietal cortex. And that's why he, as you can see, there is a system of different parts of the cortex, not just only one region. And after that, Posner and his colleagues, they collected all the works connected with some parts of the brain. So we already had the information thanks to monkeys and all these experiments with animals about the functions of different parts of the brain, and we had the results of the experiments with fMRI, and so he decided that there are three systems for attention in the brain. So here they are: the alert system, or system connected with diligence, the Orient system, and executive system. The first attention system, alert system, is quite simple because it's just it includes just locus coeruleus, or blue spot. It's a part of the brain which produce norepinephrine or noradrenaline, so a kind of neurotransmitter, and it projects the neurons from locus coeruleus, projects almost everywhere in the cortex and in cerebellum, and this is kind of general switcher. So you can be more alert or less alert, and so kind of modulation, general modulation. Another system is Orient system. So it's connected with orientation. When you should find out some where should you pay your attention. So you need some map. there are several parts of the brain connected with this system, and the simplest example is connected with the frog, because as you know, frog hasn't got such huge and marvelous cortex as we have, and it just have sorry.
Yes. Very small compared to our.
Yeah, just this part of the brain. We also have this part of the brain. We call it tectum, and there is a difference between functioning of visual cortex and functioning of tectum, because when we use visual cortex, it works like almost like neural networks. So it can recognize something. So we see, for example, a bottle, and we can distinguish different parts of the bottle, and we can do nothing with the bottle, just visualize it. Yeah. Yeah. And when and the frog who use the tectum, it doesn't distinguish different parts of the fly. Yeah. It just distinguishes that there is a fly, and immediately it grabs it. So that's the function of the tectum. And the tectum was one of the first structures in this Orient system. I mean, Orient attention system. And then after years of evolution, we have some other parts, for example, in neocortex, and they are connected with our movement and with our vision, and in every in every field, like frontal eye field, there is a retinotopical map. So, for example, there is a part of the cortex, yeah, somewhere, and if we stimulate, for example, this part of the cortex, and this is the eye of human, for example, or a monkey. If we stimulate this part of the cortex, people try to move their eye this direction. If we stimulate this part of the cortex, try to move eye here, and so on. So there is a connection, and by the way, these parts also are connected with working memory. For example, there were some experiments with monkeys when monkey had to see the point somewhere here, and they showed some symbols in different parts of the screen. For example, star here, and something round here, and square here, and I don't know, arrow here. And then they showed these symbols in the center of the screen. For example, when they showed the star, the activity in this part of frontal eye field increased. Yeah. So and for example, when they showed circle, the activity increased here.
Increased. Increased.
Yeah, increased. So these parts of cortex, they are involved not only in movements, but also for our working memory. Maybe some of you mentioned that when we try to remember something, we look on the left or on the right or somewhere. So the direction of where we are looking, they can be changed. Or when we dream about something. That's because of this connection from orientation system. And there is the third system. It's executive control attention or executive control network. And this attention system is connected with keeping the goal. Okay, so when we use the orientation system, we don't need the goal, some certain goal. We just try to orient in the space. Yeah, and in executive control, one of the main parts of the most important parts of the system is frontal cortex. Yeah, here. It's active when we try to keep in mind some special goal. For example, when you want to go from here to, I don't know, to room number 123, you have a special goal and you have increased activity in the frontal cortex. Okay, and I have some other explanation of these three systems, some metaphor. The first system is like a speed for your car. So you can have low speed, low alertness, and high speed, high alertness. Yeah. Another part, so Orient system is system for turn left or turn right. If you have got very high speed, but you can't turn left and right correctly, you'll have some problem. And some kind of automatic changing the direction. And if you have this kind of roads, and you can correctly turn left or right, but you haven't got the certain goal, you can't go to the certain place. So your movement will be kind of chaotic. And that's why we need this third system, executive control system. Okay. And there are different models of how these systems work, and the main idea is that there are top-down and bottom-up processes. So, for example, if we have some special goal in our executive control network, and we increase some stimulus which are connected with this goal. Okay, for example, I have a special goal to find food, and so all the things which are connected with food, they are highlighted in my brain. So I came to the room and I see the fridge, the Snickers or something. Yeah, and there is another type of attention. Okay, it's bottom-up attention. So some stimuli are more silent, more important for us in general. So when we haven't got any goals, they are still highlighted because they're connected with our life. So like food, or like, for example, pretty girl for a boy, and like pillow when you want to sleep. So they're always highlighted. And because of these two processes, bottom-up and top-down attention, we have some special processes in the center of our consciousness. And there are still, there are a lot of different models, neural network models, which works in such a way. So, for example, with salience maps and with this top-down attention. And some more things about different types of attention. So I just want to tell you about two modes I've mentioned and about training the attention. So there are two modes, as I can see it. The first mode is concentration. Concentration means you keep in mind or you focus just on one special thing. For example, you study and you are focused on your exams and you can't see and hear anything else. And there is another mode is deconcentration. Deconcentration, it means that we have all the things in our attention. People use it, for example, for driving. So when you drive a car, you have to see at the moment all the cars on the left, on the right, and everywhere, and all the stuff in your car. And for example, in this mode, people have better results for calculating the Schulte table, you know, the task for this table. So you just should find, for example, a red one, then black one, then red 2, then black 2, and so on. You should find all the numbers, and if your time is very low, yeah, very limited, you're good at this task. And usually people who can use the deconcentration, they're very good at this task. So and I think that it's also connected with volume, so they can keep in their attention many objects at the same time.
Concentration is generally better than concentration.
It depends on the task. Yeah, for example, if you try to be deconcentrated during your study, you also are concentrating on what your neighbors are doing and what is.
That's the point. When you try to remember, everything can be linked. So if you're listening to song,
maybe revising, when you're revising like the whole subject, you need to be concentrated. But there's like some topic.
Yeah, maybe you can use it. Try, for example, you try to learn, and your neighbors at the same time in your field of attention, and then you go to the exam and you remember your neighbors and remember the material.
Sometimes it's a life saving. Like if you are focusing on one thing and then like the alarm like sets on and everyone like should leave, if you just can't find the link between this and that, you lose. So you have to have a mix of both. And of course in the brain you don't have the concentration mode on and the other one is off. It's always on the always deconcentrate.
And for deconcentration usually works for some extreme sports, for example, like climbing on like mountain skis and so on. Okay, I think we haven't got enough time for theoretician about meditation. Yeah. So I just wanted to say that there are different types of meditation, and meditations are special techniques which are used in Buddhism, yoga, and in for Christians people, and so on. And for example, meditation usually for yoga, we usually call the meditation dharana and dhyana. So the highest steps of yoga.
And we start with pranayama to the breath control.
Yeah, the pranayama is breath control, and asanas is your body control, and these two are control of your life. And there are two types of meditation: the focused attention meditation, when you, for example, focus on the point or on a process, on your breathing, on something special, maybe on some emotion. And there is an open control, open monitoring meditation, when you just try to find out all the thoughts and where is your attention. So you haven't got some special aim, but you try to be more mindfulness. Yeah.